Hey horror fans, welcome back to Room 237, coming at you with another 80s slasher film. One I've been putting off since I started this marathon of slashers, but had to get to it eventually. This is one I thought was going to be the worst, but then I just saw The Boogeyman, which was my last review, so check that out if you want to see a rant. This one's still pretty bad, but it's not Boogeyman bad, and that is Return to Horror High. I was just looking for the year. I think it's 1987. Yeah, 1987. Yeah, this is not a good movie. I don't mind the cover though. The cover's subtle. I don't mind it. School spirit has never been this dead. Yeah. Except this was on the original cover. I like how George Clooney gets top billing. This was known as one of his first movies. He's the first to die. Maureen McCormick isn't. Marsha Brady is only in a couple scenes. The title too. A lot of people think this is a sequel. It's kind of a Return of the Living Dead kind of thing. Even though that has something to build off of. This doesn't. I'm not going to get too much into the plot because it's fucking confusing. And it doesn't deserve it. Basically, some years ago at Crippen High School, there was a massacre, a bunch of kids got killed, since been abandoned, and now this film crew wants to make a movie about what happened and shoot on location. And people start getting killed again. And it's just... pretty much the film opens up, I'm guessing it's Vince Edwards, I'm not sure who that is, but this sort of police lieutenant or sergeant, Maureen McCormick, as like a patrol officer. They're outside saying how there's a massacre inside, and they show us the events of what happened. And eventually, the writer of the film within the film, he's a survivor, and they start questioning him, and then we see more of what happened. And it's not, there's nothing to this movie. It's boring. Characters you don't care for. Like, I guess the leads, there's this real police officer who comes in to replace George Clooney because he leaves to go to a TV series, but then he gets killed. He's a real officer, but then they decide to just make him the officer of the film. He hooks up with Lori Lethin, who was Joyce in Bad Birthday, which I also reviewed, so check out my review on that. She plays like 3 different characters in the film within the film. And they're the ones that are like, well, let's figure out that something's not right, so let's figure it out. It pretty much all this movie is by this time the slasher genre had peaked, it's on its way down, everything had been done already. So they started becoming more self-aware, self-referential, and becoming a self-parody, which is what this is. It's pretty much a parody of the slasher genre, just not done well at all. It tries to be clever, this came out a good 9 years before Scream, which is what it's trying to do. And it's just not good at it at all. I guess the only clever thing would be about how, there's this producer that just wants more blood, more nudity and everything. And the director that thinks he's, I want to make it psychological, make it perfect. I mean, I guess that's kind of spot on because even though, I don't know, it's late and I don't really give too much of a shit of this movie to really go into it. The ending is pretty confusing because our 2 leads, they find a secret passage, they find this empty classroom full of old corpses, the victims of the last massacre. Oh yeah, because the killer never got caught. Find out the killer's the principal, and I guess he was the principal of the school before, and I guess it doesn't make sense because you find out that the writer also went to school there. His girlfriend got pregnant, killed her in a rage, hit her body. I don't know. The kills, there's not, I mean, some of the kills are alright, but then when you consider the ending, it's just like, alright. Like this one guy, there's like a box of sand or something, he just falls in, sinks in it. This other guy steps into a rope trap, goes upside down, and there's a booby trap that makes this big thing on a fan come towards him. But of course, right when it hits him, it cuts to blood being splashed on this other guy. The science teacher gets, his class dissecting frogs, so that he sort of gets dissected like a frog. He gets his heart ripped out. Good sound effects. The killer looks silly. He wears all black. Has like this white mask with it's like a white sad theater mask. But he has like big, long yellow kitchen cleaning gloves. So then the ending, it's like they have all these bodies outside. They finally decide to go in the school. And then once they're inside, everybody, like it's the whole film crew. They like wake up, like all their guts and everything was prosthetic. Latex and stuff. They decide, oh, it's like there was a massacre, but the film survived. It will be a big, big thing. Everyone will go see it. Then when the cops come outside, see everyone's gone, they assume the killer just took them all. I don't know. A lot of the acting's pretty piss poor. I like to think it's done intentionally because it's a parody, but I don't think this movie's that clever. Again, it's boring. It's not funny when it's supposed to. And also I noticed Midnight Madness series. I have a couple from that. The only one I know on top of my head is Mountaintop Motel Massacre, which that wasn't a good movie either. Yeah. Other movies that are self-referential from the 80s, like Slaughter High, is a much better movie. I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't like Scream. Then I saw it later, and I thought it was really good. Scream is much better than this. Yeah. I don't really know what else to say about it. Short review, but that's because the plot's all over the place, and it gets to points where it doesn't make sense. Just not a good movie. Just pretty shitty. It is one of the worst slashers I've ever seen. 80 slashers anyway. But it's nowhere near as bad as Boogeyman, but that's not saying much. So yeah, Return to Horror High, you can pretty much pass it. This movie sucks. That's all I got for that. So for Road 237, thank you.